Welcome, I'm Cassandra, and this is your general forecast for September 2018. This is for Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising signs. So I'd like to take just a moment to apologize, especially to those of my subscribers that watch my readings every month. You will notice that I did not post for August. I got sick towards the end of July, and the first day that I actually started to feel better was on August 12th. So, I kind of figured by that point, it's just a bit late to actually start now. So I just figured I'd take the rest of the month off and allow myself to get my strength back and my energy back. So here we are. And that's enough about me. This is about you. So let's jump into it. Okay, so for the first card, we have the Knight of Wands. So this is really a very positive card, but for some of you, it may not feel positive right now, and for some of you, it will feel positive. So the Knight of Wands always brings us changes. Now, these changes are always going to be positive, although I'm feeling that for some of you that these changes may not initially feel positive, but the end result will be positive. So if you're feeling like, yeah, no, these changes don't feel positive, well, the end result will be. So just, hang on. But for a lot of you, this will feel positive. Any type of change that comes up with the Knight of Wands is always positive. Sometimes we can actually, very unexpectedly get an opportunity. Maybe this could be a job opportunity. Maybe this could be a change of residence. Maybe for some of you, this could be a change of residence due to a job opportunity. Maybe some of you are going to go traveling, some sort of journey of sorts. And a lot of times, there can be an unexpected element where it just literally just pops right up real quick. And you're like, whoa, I did not see that coming. But it's positive. So there's positive events, positive changes, positive opportunities that are moving your way, or you receive a message of some sort that is, positive, or, it's about change. But again, like I said, for some, you may feel like this isn't so positive, but the end result will be positive. So just hang tight. But definitely, maybe someone could come into your life that could, end up offering these opportunities. Sometimes somebody could, just come into our life. Or sometimes this can be someone that we already know, and they just suddenly start talking about something, and then we're like, hey, I'm interested in that. So sometimes, it can be someone that we know. They could be male or female, but it definitely indicates that you guys are going through some sort of changes right now. But these changes will result as positive. So this is very, very good. Now, for the circumstances, we have the King of Wands in the reverse position. So this is not so hot. Now, the King of Wands in reverse, he is lacking ambition. He's feeling inadequate. He's feeling maybe low self-esteem. Maybe he's lacking that self-confidence. Sometimes we can see, someone who is not following through with something that they had decided to do, maybe not following through on a commitment of sorts. And a lot of times, there's a lot of pessimism in this card and doubt. And sometimes it's, like fearing that, you could be inadequate in some way, like you just won't be able to pull it off. And sometimes there's just a tendency to let things go because you're so full of doubt and thinking, things are just never going to work out, and so it's like, let's just let it all fall away. And sometimes we can actually see self-sabotage here. So for some of you, you could be dealing with someone that is like this. They could be Aries, Leo, Sagittarius, or they could just kind of have a fire-like personality. They would be, prone to, do things on impulse, make decisions on impulse, say things on impulse, but they typically tend to be go-getters. But when it's in the reverse position, this is where we're seeing the lack of energy, and this is where we're seeing the not so great side of that personality. So again, this could be someone that you guys are dealing with. They could be male or female, or this could just simply be indicating the type of energy that you're going through. Maybe this change, has presented itself, and maybe some of you are ready for change, but maybe some of you might feel like you just won't measure up. Maybe you fear that you'll fail. Maybe you're lacking that confidence. And if that part is resonating with you, if you feel like you can't pull it off, like you don't have the confidence, if you're feeling like completely doubtful and pessimistic and like you're just not going to be, come on, snap out of that. Snap out of it, Cancer. I believe in you. And I need you to believe in yourself, okay? So please, believe in yourself and don't be automatically setting yourself up for failure, because what we can have here is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And I don't want you guys to do that. I mean, come on. I know it's been really rough on you guys. Some of the Cancer Sun, Moon, and Risings are doing fine, and then some of us are just, we're just really getting hit hard. So I just want you guys to be positive, as hard as that is. I know it's so much easier said than done, but I need you guys to believe in yourself. Don't automatically just assume that you're not going to be able to pull it off, or you're not going to be able to do it. Maybe you're just not giving yourself enough credit. Maybe some of you might be depressed. You got to pull yourself up out of that pit, okay? I know, again, that's easier said than done, and we're all, I'm not going to say all, let me correct myself, but a lot of us are feeling pretty out of sorts, and that tends to happen when we have so many retrogrades going on. So some of us are feeling, off. Okay, so it's clarified by the Death card in reverse. So what this means is that there is a certain situation, this could be about a relationship, romantic or platonic. It could even be a business relationship. This could be a living situation. This could be so many different things, but there is something that is trying to come to an end, something that is trying to have a natural ending, and perhaps maybe you're trying to fight back, trying to resist it. Because when we have the Death card in reverse, we are clinging to the past. We are trying to hang on to something that really no longer serves a purpose for us. and we need to let it go. Now, sometimes we might try to hang on. Maybe some of you need some closure from someone. Well, try to get your closure and wrap this up as quick as possible, because the more that we try to resist the inevitable here, then the more problems, the more battles that come our way, and they will just keep building in intensity. Okay? So, and the reason why they're going to keep building in intensity when we are still trying to hang on is because the universe is trying to say, hey, let it go. Let it go. And that's not so easy for us Cancer. So, not always easy. But sometimes certain things need to come to an end, and there is a greater purpose behind it, even though it may not feel great, even though it may even seem senseless, but there is a reason. And a lot of times these situations, they've just really outlived their purpose for us. We've learned all we can learn, and it's time to let them go so that we can move forward. So this is a card where we need to let go, we need to surrender, we need to allow this inevitable change to happen. And, maybe some of you guys are trying to hang on to something and it's not working. And I think that's going to resonate with some of you. You're trying to hang on to something or someone, and it is not working, and it's not meant to work. So the sooner that you let go, surrender, and just make peace with where you are and just let it happen, then the relief will come. Because it's inevitable. We have to face it. We can't avoid it. We can't undo it. There's no amount of hanging on and clinging that will undo the inevitable. It's not possible. Some things just have to come to an end. Okay, so this would be the focus. So we have the Five of Wands. So this is a card where we might be feeling some confusion. Like I was saying, with all these retrograde planets, it's got, a lot of us feeling a bit out of sorts, maybe a bit more confused. Some people are experiencing a little bit of depression, whereas they normally don't have issues with depression. Some people are feeling more anxiety. Some people are just having a general feeling of, something's off, So this is a card of confusion. It's a card of struggles. And it's also a card of conflict. So, especially if this happens to be conflict for you guys, then this would be the type of conflict that's it's like never ending. It's like a small disagreement can start, and then it literally can morph into 100 different things to argue about, and then you're just sitting there kind of scratching your head like, how did this happen? Where did this start? Oh yeah, that's right, this tiny little disagreement, and it's morphed into this. Why? So sometimes this can be about a lot of conflict. And, if this is resonating with you, then, maybe try to find a mediator. That can help sometimes. Someone that won't be biased, okay? But I'm feeling that overall for most of you, that this is definitely feeling confusion, and there could be struggling present. So Let's move forward. Oh, okay. Well, it's clarified by the Eight of Swords. So, yeah, this would definitely explain the confusion and then the struggling. The Eight of Swords is about fear and restrictions. So, this bubble that she's in, it's kind of like her own mental prison. And she's created this bubble with her fears. And so, therefore, she can't seem to make a decision. So, she's hit like this indecision point. But she can't seem to make a decision. She's so restricted by the fear. Do I do this? Do I do that? But if I do this, this could happen. If I do this, that could happen. And fear, I'm almost speechless here, trying to be good. Watch my mouth. But we've got to get rid of this fear, okay? We've got to get rid of it because it is not going to help us. While fear can be completely normal to have a little bit of fear, especially, when it comes to starting over, especially if we happen to be starting over in a new place or something, or, sometimes just starting over in general in any aspect of the life can be, a little fearful for some people. But you don't want to let that grow and grow and grow, because then we can feel trapped. And what you need to realize is this is self-imposed. So we're like in this bubble because we put ourselves there. We've allowed the fear to take us over. And fear is an illusion, okay? It's an illusion. I mean, danger is very real, but, danger and fear are two completely different things. And the only thing to fear is fear itself. Fear wants to paralyze you. Fear wants to keep you in the same spot. Because if we're in the same spot, then we're not moving forward. Don't let the dark negative energies get their way, okay? For some of you, you might have people that are really doubtful and fearful around you, and they could be adding to this, You want to get rid of this fear because it's not going to help you. And the moment that you realize that this fear is self-imposed, then you can literally pop this bubble and walk right on out. But this is definitely where the confusion is coming from. It's fear-based. And you got to exercise that fear up out of you. I mean, even because fear can be like a demon. It wants to literally prevent you from having happiness or moving forward. That doesn't work for me, and it shouldn't work for you guys. Don't allow that. Get that fear out of your head. Do whatever you have to do. Go sit by a lake, and just quiet your mind and just listen to the water. Do whatever you have to do to help you reconnect with your emotions and to help you find your balance and to center yourself. Because I don't want you guys getting caught up in this, web of fear. You got to get out of it. And you can. You can absolutely get out of it. But I tell you, the only thing to fear is fear itself. So what if you can't see? I believe it was Dr. Martin Luther King, I think he said something like, you know, you may not be able to see the whole staircase, you know, but just take the first step. Because I know I'm not saying that exactly perfect, but it's very, very true. You don't have to see that whole staircase. You just need to take that first step to get out of that fear. Don't be fearful, you know, drop the fear. Sure, you may be dealing with some unknowns, but take that first step. And more steps will be revealed to you. Just don't allow yourself to be caught up in that fear-based thinking, because that's where we can end up self-sabotaging ourselves. And I don't want you guys to go through anything more than we have to. This has been pretty rough lately, so we got to get this fear out of here. Okay, so this would be your recent past. So here we have the Magician in the reverse position. So this card could have quite a few meanings. You know, you'll know which part resonates with you. So this could actually indicate that for some of you, maybe some of you are using your skills, your abilities in an improper way. Sometimes this can be about an improper use of your own power. Sometimes this can be about us having some skills or skill set, and maybe it's still laying hidden, or maybe we know about it but we're just not doing anything to actually continue learning to improve that set of skills. And something else I should mention. Now, please keep in mind when I say this that this could be someone else that you were dealing with in your life, or this could be your own energy, but this could be someone else. Now, when I see the Magician in reverse, you know, this is the trickster type of energy. So, again, you know, this can kind of lead into fear here, but this can also be indicating that someone might have tricked you. Someone might have scammed you. You might have had to deal with some sort of con artist, maybe. It's like things are being manipulated. Maybe you might feel like you've been manipulated. Maybe someone might feel like you've manipulated them. You know, like I said, it can go either way. But again, you know, this is about improper use of our power. And for some, maybe you don't even realize that you have some of these talents, you know, but you do. So, you know, you might want to quiet the mind, do some self-reflection, see what happens. Just, you know, brainstorm a little without the fear, because the fear is not going to help. But I'm feeling some of you might have been dealing with some issues with someone starting problems for you. These problems could have been manipulation. You know, this could have been someone who even could have lied to you. Could have been someone who scammed you. Could have been someone who just tried to scam you. Okay, so this would be the present, the here, the now energy. So we have the Ten of Cups, and I feel like this card comes out too much for you guys. Okay, so Ten of Cups in reverse. So this is our card of happily ever after, you know, us having our happy married life, happy relationship, you know, happy home life, our children, or happily ever after in general. Well, here we see the opposite. We see a home that's in disarray. We see a marriage or a relationship that could be experiencing problems. Sometimes we can see issues with the actual physical home. Sometimes, it's just issues within the home life, but sometimes we can see issues within, the actual physical home. Sometimes the foundation, sometimes it's issues of flooding, which for some of you this card could indicate flooding, because we are definitely back to seeing floods happen. So sometimes this can indicate an act of God, as they call it, where our home could be destroyed through flooding, or our home could be severely damaged due to some type of flooding. That's a hard energy to deal with. I mean, this type of energy is hard to deal with, period, but, to lose your entire home, I don't even want to imagine. Okay, so it's clarified by the Five of Cups. So this is a loss and a disappointment with either someone that you love or with something you love. Now, not every Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign wants to be in a relationship or is in a relationship. So let me just get that out of the way. Now, so for those of you who are not in a relationship and don't desire to be in a relationship, this could be indicating that something you love, actually attaining that, has become a disappointment. Something's happened. Sometimes there can be a feeling of disillusion. Now, for all of us here, again, this is, loss and or disappointment. This could be about a romantic relationship, a marriage, or this could even be about a platonic friendship. This could even be about a relationship with a family member. There could have been a major falling out that leaves you feeling that loss and feeling, just really disappointed. Now, you see this woman, she has got her head in her hand. She is just looking down. She's looking at these 3 cups here that are empty. The 2 are spilled over and broken. But what she doesn't see is those 2 cups that are behind her that are full. Now, those 2 cups are representing that there is hope, that things will get better. You will heal. You will get past this. This, is like, hey, take your time to grieve. But once you're done grieving, you need to turn around and look, because there's 2 cups behind you. So not all is lost. Maybe a certain situation is done and come to an end. It's run its natural course. But your hope will return to you. Your passion will return. Your desire will return. Okay? But for now, this is a bit of a grief period. So it seems that some of you, this could definitely be hitting home. There could be issues within the relationship, a marriage. Maybe for some of you, this could be about issues, of a disappointment in a child, that could be coming up for a few of you. For some of you, this could just be, you're completely unhappy with the home life. For some of you, maybe someone, just suddenly decided they were done and they wanted to leave home and left you and maybe even some children and just walked away. That is really awful. That can leave us feeling pretty disillusioned and disappointed. No matter what this loss is, though, do what you have to do to grieve so that we can move forward. Because once you get through this grief process, you need to turn around and look, because there's 2 full cups behind you. And these 2 full cups indicate that things are going to get better. You will heal from this. You will have a renewed interest in making new friends. You will end up with a renewed interest in love itself. Sometimes this can actually be about something that we love. So for some of you, this could be, you know, maybe someone does lose their home, whether through an act of God, such as, you know, flooding, you know, hurricanes, all of these things, or by, you know, financial issues. That could be an issue too. Maybe someone leaves and leaves everything on you. You know, some of these things are going to resonate with some and others won't, you know, so you'll know where it resonates with you and where it doesn't. But I have to throw these things out here because not every Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising is exactly the same. And our situations are not always exactly the same. So, and these things can manifest in different ways. Okay, so this would be the near future. This almost kind of depresses me, but I'm not going to allow that to happen. Okay, so 10 of Swords. So I already see 2 tens. So I see that there are things that are definitely, you know, coming to a close. Completing cycles, okay? And when we complete a cycle, then we end up starting a new cycle. So this is your near future, and I see the 10 of Swords. So this is the end of a karmic cycle. Now, this can be pretty painful, pretty upsetting. Do you see the detail here? Look at these swords. Look at the blood. But, you know, this can actually be pretty straightforward. You know, maybe you might feel like you've been stabbed in the back by someone. Maybe there was a major deception, betrayal, and it was exposed, and you felt like you were just stabbed in the back. And so, you know, that particular relationship could come to a grinding halt. But no matter what this is, it's karmic. It's a karmic completion, but it's also about us getting this karmic cleanse, okay? So it's going to wipe our karma slate clean. And then we get to start anew. But some things do have to come to a close because they've run their natural, you know, cycle. They're no longer benefiting us, so we have to move away from the energy. So yes, some of you might feel stabbed in the back. This could be about deception, betrayal. This could be about the end of a marriage. This could be about the end of a relationship. This could be about a job loss. You know, this could be about many different things. But the main thing that will stick is there's some sort of situation in your life that is coming to a close, to an ending. And there can be elements of deception with it. There could be an element of feeling like you were stabbed in the back. It can be pretty painful. Just don't allow the depression or anything like that to suck you in, because things happen for a reason, and I know that this is going to turn out for the better, okay? It may not feel like it, and that's why I started here, because I know for some of you these changes, they're not all feeling positive, but that's where it's going to lead, is things in the end will be for the better. They will turn out positive. It just may not feel positive right now. Woo! Okay. Oh, Wow. So, yeah, it's clarified by Judgment. So, this is basically saying, yeah, this needs to come to an end. The Judgment card is definitely about, we can see the situation for exactly what it is, okay? So, for the most of you, you're going to know that whatever this represents for you that comes to a close, you know that was the best thing. Now, the biggest thing with Judgment that I always like to tell people is this is about making a decision, and this decision has very long-term effects on your life. It's not a decision that you want to take lightly. It's not a decision that you want to make impulsively. We really want to make sure that we make the right decision, because this decision is one that will have effects for a very long time on our life. But when I see these two cards together, then I know this is almost fated, okay? Like, this needed to happen. And I feel like some of you will already know. And some of you are seeing the situation for what it is. Some of you probably even knew this was coming for quite some time, and you've just been trying to avoid it. But now you see things exactly as they are, and they cannot be ignored anymore. And Judgment Day is upon them. The situation has to come to an end. Some people are pretty frightened by the Judgment card, but I don't look at it as frightening at all. It's just one of those cards where we need to be prepared, because we are going to have to make a huge decision. And this decision has very, very long-term effects. So we want to make sure we make the right one. I'd be more scared if it was in the reverse position, because then we'd be more likely to make the wrong choice. And if you make the wrong choice when it's long-term, that can be bad. But the Judgment card is also about, hey, don't be afraid to take a look in the mirror at yourself. Especially when dishing out judgment towards other people. Be willing to receive what you put out, So if you make a judgment about someone, then be prepared for them to make a judgment about you. But if you can look at yourself in the mirror and know that what you're doing and what your judgment and what your decision is right, that's all you need to know. Follow your truth, Cancers. Follow your truth. Some things just have to come to a close, even though we don't want them to. Some things are just necessary. They have to come to that end. It's like up here, we have us still trying to hang on and cling, but it needs to come to its natural death, so to speak. I don't even like to use that word, but, it's about change. It's time to make the transition from one way of living, or being with one person, to starting over. Because ultimately, the Death card, whether it's upright or reverse, it's going to bring us that new start. There's always a new start. There's always a rebirth. Always. And like I said, it will be positive. It may not feel positive for some of you initially, but it will be. And you'll see that in time. Okay, so this will be your attitude. So this is the 5 of Coins. You guys are definitely feeling pretty pessimistic. Now, this card can indicate that you could be going through some very trying times, especially in regards to finances. Sometimes this can indicate, not always, but for some of you, this could be indicating issues of, financial bankruptcy. Sometimes it may involve the actual home. So, yeah. Some of you could just be struggling to maintain your home, making that payment, trying to make ends meet. Some of you, this could be leaning towards spiritual bankruptcy. That's by no means going to resonate with all of you and is not meant to. But for those of you who it does resonate with, you will get the message, they get the message. So now you see there's this wonderful warm looking fire inside of this home that's got an open door, and yet she's sitting on the step in the snow. She doesn't look happy. She looks upset. So sometimes this can be literally feeling like you've been put out into the cold. It doesn't mean you've physically been put out into the cold. It can for some of you. But for most of you, this could just be about feeling like you've been put out in the cold. Now, to me, I'm just getting this visual of Cancer, the crab, okay? So it's kind of like the crab getting evicted from his shell. So boy, that is tough. That is some tough energy. So it's kind of like maybe you feel completely exposed in your emotion. It's like we have that shell to where we can retreat back into. But when we don't have that shell and we're completely exposed to the elements, all of our emotions are completely vulnerable and exposed. So I'm getting that visual, of like a crab being out of its shell and just how uncomfortable that is. So to me, getting that visual tells me that, this is definitely emotional and uncomfortable. But I also, in regards to money, I don't want you guys getting... I understand that things could be pretty rough financially for some of you, not all of you. Some of you are doing okay. Some of you are doing really good finances wise, but for some of you, you may not be doing so hot. And for those of you who are not doing so hot in the financial arena right now, please do not keep your mind and your attitude focused on lack. Don't focus on everything that you're lacking, everything that you don't have, everything that's not working out. I know this is easier said than done because I can almost feel the energy, and this is not even uploaded yet. But seriously, we really need to shift our thoughts. And this is hard, but it can be worth it. Instead of focusing on everything that we're lacking and everything that we don't have and everything that's gone wrong, we need to focus on what we do have right here, right now. And be grateful for those things, no matter how big or how small they are. Be grateful for them. Because if we can focus on what we do have right now and what we're grateful for, and if we can try to, really maintain our thought structure in that sphere of gratitude, then we can actually attract better things and good things to come to us a whole lot quicker. The mind is a very, very powerful thing, and we tend to take it for granted. Our thoughts are extremely powerful. And that's why I don't want you guys getting stuck in that fear. Well, I totally understand the fear, because there is a lot of change going on here. There most certainly something's coming to an end, and you know that can be a little fearful, but I don't want you guys getting caught in that, because it becomes a very vicious cycle. And then the whole lacking that we can focus on, I don't have this, I don't have that, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this isn't working out. The more that we focus on that, and the more that we bring attention to those type of things, the more that we can actually end up attracting more of the very thing we don't want. And I don't want you guys to do that. That does not work for us right now. So let's shift our frame of mind the best that we can. And like I said, I know this is hard, but just try your best, because just one positive thought is 10 times stronger than a negative one, okay? And so if we can just try to have some positive thoughts here in between, this could really help balance things out so that they don't have to get any worse than they have been. I really feel like Pluto is working some of us over, transiting Pluto. And, because it is opposite either your sun, your moon, or your rising sign, your ascendant. For some of you, it could be out of orb wise, but we have Saturn that is also moved into Capricorn. It's currently retrograde, just like Pluto. I believe Saturn is at 2 degrees. I think Pluto is at 19 or 18. Let me look. And yes, Pluto is 18 degrees. Yeah, well, okay. Guess we're not going to be able to see that. Pluto is 18 degrees of Capricorn. So Capricorn is the polar opposite to Cancer. So Pluto will definitely cause endings. I should just make my own deck and rename this card Pluto. But everything that Pluto ends, there will be a rebirth. There will be a transformation. So it gets removed because it wasn't the best for us. And even though we may not realize it, and trust me, it don't always feel like it. Sometimes it can feel horrible. But it always takes us to a rebirth of sorts, and it gives us that new start. And a lot of times we become someone completely new, So Pluto is 18 degrees of Capricorn, currently in retrograde. And as I said, we have Saturn that is in Capricorn as well. So for those of you with early degrees, sun, moon, or rising signs in Cancer, you could definitely be feeling the energy of Saturn opposing at 2 degrees currently. Okay. And Saturn's definitely restrictions, boundaries, but Saturn, he can appear like a, I'll say ball buster. But, Saturn is always about us, maturing and finding our stability, and our structure. So sometimes we can find that, we're denied because Saturn can put up boundaries. Saturn can feel really, really restrictive. Like, the more we try and we just keep getting shut down and keep getting shut down, and we're getting shut down for a reason. So Saturn's not as bad, and neither is Pluto. I mean, Pluto definitely is I would say a bit worse than Saturn, but they can both equally feel just as rough. So okay, enough about that. Okay, so this is how other people would see you. So we have the Five of Swords in the reverse position. So for some of you, this could be indicating that you might actually be dealing with some sort of legal issue. Or maybe you might be dealing with someone that is, you know, an authority, someone who might work for the state. Yeah. Something within, you know, the legal capacity. You know, it could be maybe you have a small claims. Maybe you might be going through a divorce. Maybe you might have to deal with someone within the legal field or someone who works for the government. Now, beyond that, the Five of Swords is definitely, given that this is how other people see you, other people could be looking at you like you're rocking the boat on purpose. Like you want to start conflict, because a lot of times when this card pops up, we can see that someone is creating conflict, or there is a desire to cause conflict. So for some of you, this could be about, you know, the person that, you know, things could be coming to an end with. You know, they could be looking at you like you're just trying to cause problems. Now, another thing I need to mention is this card can indicate gossip. So you could be on the receiving end of this, or you could be the one doing the gossiping. It could go either way. If you happen to be the object of gossip and you hear about it, just address it, you know, right then and there. You don't have to keep addressing it over and over. Either the people will believe or they won't, you know. Everyone's got their opinion, so doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong. So, but the truth is the truth. So if the gossip comes up and it's about you, you know, just address the situation, put your truth out there. If people believe you, great. If they don't, heck with them, you know. But do be careful of creating conflict, because we've got enough of that. Okay, so this would be hopes, fears. Sometimes these can be more subconscious. Sometimes we're consciously aware of what it is. So we have the King of Cups in reverse. So the King of Cups in reverse, you know, this is a card very much that has to do with, you know, our personal life, our home life. Either our personal life's a mess and going through major changes, or our home life could be a mess going through, you know, those changes. Sometimes it can be about both. Now, ultimately, what the universe wants us to do is to rise up and face that emotional issue with maturity and with wisdom. But the initial reaction typically is we just want to withdraw, we want to be left alone, and we may not necessarily react the best way, especially if we're not allowed to withdraw. But just know that the sooner that you face these issues, if you do it with maturity and with wisdom, then the better off you'll be, and the quicker that we can get through all of this and get to the better part, you know. Okay, so for the final outcome, we have the Empress. So this is good. This is good. Thank goodness. So, the Empress. For some of you, this could be representing your mother or even your father. In this day and age, modern times, you know, we have males that are just as nurturing as females. Not all of them, but, you know, there are some out there. But, you know, typically this is about women, but this is a card of receiving nurturing. Sometimes this can be about having supportive women that are willing to help us, or, you know, it could even be a male. This is also a card of harvest, so money coming in. You know, perhaps maybe someone sees you might be in a situation that's not been so great, and maybe someone offers to help you. Maybe someone offers to give you assistance, you know, maybe it's money. Sometimes this card can be about birth. So sometimes under this influence, one can find out that they're pregnant. Or some, you know, maybe you might hear about someone that you know that gives birth. But most of all, this can be about giving birth to a new attitude, a new awareness, maybe a new idea, maybe a new creative project, you know, whatever it may be. It can be a creative type of birth. It could be us just, you know, automatically finding something like, hey, I could do this and I could make money on the side. Because this card does have a, first and foremost, this card is about our home, our home life, and keeping it under control. And then this card can be about our relationships, you know, with our significant other, or, you know, about our relationship with our children. Sometimes this can be about us having the desire to start a family. Maybe there's a desire to get married and start a family. Sometimes this can be about actually getting a new home. So for some of you, this could be definitely moving, because that is, some of you are definitely going to move. Not all of you, but some of you are definitely going to end up moving. Now, this card could also be pointing towards finances, because no matter what it is that we desire when the Empress comes up, this is a card of harvest. So it's like either we can have a ton of support and a ton of love, you know, or it could be about, hey, we get a windfall of some money that comes our way. The harvest is in. You know, maybe someone wants to help you out. Maybe you get lucky. But good things are coming when we see the Empress, okay? For some of you, this could be about your mother. And for some of you, it could be about a grandmother. Maybe an aunt that might be like a mom. Matter of fact, they don't even have to really be blood DNA, you know. Sometimes we make our own family, and that's okay. Just because we share DNA does not mean that, you know, they're family. I mean, they are, you know, in the DNA sense, but sometimes we can find people that are of no blood DNA relation, and they are more family to us than our actual family. Sometimes that can be about a mother-in-law, stepmother. Okay, so it's clarified by the Ten of Wands in reverse. So this is 3 tens now. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, yeah. So we're definitely completing cycles because we have 3 tens. Matter of fact, cups, wands, swords. So the only 10 we haven't seen is the 10 of pentacles. Hey, maybe we'll get 10 of pentacles next month. That would be great, especially if it's upright. We want it upright. So the 10 of wands in reverse. So this is us. We've been carrying a really heavy load, a lot of responsibilities that probably are pretty oppressive, physically, mentally, very, very taxing. Sometimes we're carrying other people's burdens. But when this is in the reverse like so, we're saying, hey, I can't take anybody else's responsibilities anymore because I am spread too thin in regard to my own responsibilities. So I gotta throw this stack of wands down. I mean, because I just can't do it anymore. Just make sure that you don't throw those responsibilities that you're getting rid of, away onto someone else, because then, that could just get us bad karma. So you definitely want to, get some closure. For instance, if you have taken on someone else's responsibilities and you can't handle it no more, then, definitely let them know. I tried to help you. I can't do it anymore. I got to deal with my own things. I got to make my own responsibilities priority, and that's just how it is. You got to take care of it yourself. So there's definitely a need to throw some of those things down, because we can't keep carrying the stress of the entire world upon our shoulders. It's just become too much. Too much. So we got to put it down. And when we put them down, we get a chance to, really breathe and have that sigh of relief. And then good things coming. A harvest coming in, like I said, whether it's love, relationships, support from those you love and care about, or, finances, a harvest is coming in. That's great. I'm glad that this is ending with the Empress. Upright. So for the bottom of the deck, we have the Hermit in reverse. So this is kind of like, perhaps maybe you didn't listen to your own intuition, your own gut feeling, your own inner voice. Or perhaps maybe someone had given you advice and maybe you disregarded that advice and it was actually good advice. Sometimes this can be a card of wishful thinking. Sometimes this can be a card where we have our head in the clouds. And when our head is in the clouds, we cannot see how dark it really is outside. Hence our situations, just how dark they are. So it's like time to pull our head out of the clouds, because we have to deal with things. We got to deal with the reality of it. We can't be having wishful thinking. It's time to reevaluate. But we don't want to be disregarding, some sage advice. Whether that sage advice is coming from your own higher mind or from someone outside of yourself who gave you good advice. Okay, so it's clarified by the Temperance card. So maybe the advice might have been disregarded because you were just in a hurry to get things going. Or maybe you reacted impulsively. Maybe you got the advice, disregarded it. Maybe you thought, I'll be able to make it through. A lot of times there's impatience here. This is where we can see our patience and our tolerance being tested by other people. And a lot of times this is where we have to deal with other people. Sometimes we're having to be in a group setting and we have to communicate with each other. And if we're being overly impatient and intolerant with other people, this can cause problems. Now, another aspect of this card is when Temperance is in the reverse. This means that our emotions and our intellect is out of balance. So we have allowed our emotions to disregard this good advice. And when our emotions are in control, that's when we can end up making a wrong decision. We need to make our decisions when we are in balance with perfect intellect and, the perfect amount of emotion and heart. They need to be blended together perfectly. But when Temperance is in reverse, we've made these emotional choices. We made them quickly and, with our emotions. And when our emotions are in the driver's seat behind the steering wheel, things can get crazy. But again, this is about, we need to be patient. We need to be tolerant. And maybe we're not being so patient and tolerant. Maybe you're not being patient and tolerant enough with yourself. Maybe you're not being patient and tolerant enough with others. Maybe it's both for you. You'll know what resonates with you. Now, every time I see the Temperance card, I always like to say, hey, slow down. Because there's a tendency to just want to get things going. I'm tired of doing this. Let's get it done already. So there's the whole tendency to want to rush. You need to slow down and smell the roses, because the moment that we see a beautiful bush of roses, if we just continue power walking on by and not stop, then we can miss a great opportunity. Because if you could just stop, say, hey, this is a beautiful bush of roses. Admire the beauty, the color, the fragrance. Because if you can take those extra seconds to really just stop and appreciate that beauty, you could end up running into somebody that if you had not stopped there for a few seconds, you would have never ran into them. Opportunities can find us, but we have to give ourselves that time to slow down. Admire the small things, admire the beauty. Don't go rushing around like a chicken with your head cut off, because we ain't gonna make it nowhere that way. Not anywhere we want to be, okay? So take that time to slow down, because I'm telling you, if you take that time to slow down, you could end up running into someone that could actually bring you an opportunity. And it's probably going to be an opportunity you may not want to miss. And you'd have never found it if you didn't slow down. Keep your head up, Cancers. I know this is rough. I know this is probably pretty emotional. But I'm telling you, it's all going to be worth it. And we are going to come out the other side. And look, things are going to get better. Things are improving. They may not feel like it, but they are going to improve. They really will. So keep that chin up. Believe in yourself, because like I said, I believe in you. And I want you to believe in yourself too. I love you guys. I really do. Maybe some of you feel like you're not appreciated. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Yeah, I don't know you, but guess what? It doesn't matter. I appreciate you. And I love you guys. I'm sending you guys blessings of healing, prosperity, and love.